So do you want to do some rapid fire out of the
Yeah.
Q&A?
Let me cover some. I had a chance to review the questions. They're all appropriate, great, smart questions. Thank you. Real quick. Number one, you do not need to get licensed once you get this degree. This is not creating a new licensed professional that is governed by the Practice Act. That would require legislation to go back and make those changes. The reason is this. This is a degree aimed at providing professionals in the profession, from industry to shelters to large to small practices, large animal labs, an advanced trained professional, particularly those that have been very successful credentialed vet techs, additional knowledge and training to be useful as they choose to use them. Our expectation from the conversations with all that audience ahead of time, we've run it by them number of times, is that this is a profession that's in the $60 to $75,000 a year salary range, which for many credentialed vet techs, it would be doubling their salary. I don't throw that out as a promise or as some carrot. It's just that's the view of the value of this. It's not driven by you get a new license. It's driven by the fact you know what you know now. You've got additional knowledge and training and skills that people think would be valuable. Number one, I think that's important. People have asked about how does this relate to VTS? This in no way is overlooking, running around, diminishing VTS at all. It'd be silly to do that with Bree as a moderator from Royal Canin having that degree and one that's so respected. You will choose if you have a VTS and obviously a specialty. If this is valuable to you in your career path, you'll pursue this. And I think your employer, the organization you're involved in, can see that. If not, if you have all the learning you need and you're satisfied with your compensation, your authority, your leadership opportunities, fine. This isn't meant to be the cure-all for every single person in the veterinary world. But I think a lot of people will take this and move up the ladder because of the management side and because of the medical side, supplementing the specialty medical knowledge that you have with your VTS. But that's a choice you'll have to make individually. And I think the one question I've heard from a lot of people is, how does this affect how vet techs are treated and paid today? All I can tell you is this. As human medicine created this ladder of professionals, right? All these different levels, 2-year, 4-year, 5-year, 6-year, 8-year, 12-year, all the way up the ladder, nursing compensation doubled in this country. And sadly, for the veterinary profession, it more than is double. It's almost 3 times the average pay of credentialed vet techs, and that shouldn't be the case. Because we're creating a leader now in a profession who's been a credentialed vet tech and understands what you can do and understands what that board certification means. And how that could lead to diminishing the role of vet techs, we don't think is possible. We think it's going to be the opposite. It's going to be people that know what skills they have in that clinic or in that company or in that shelter, and they lift them up. And I think that's much more likely. Let me pause there, Bree. That's a rapid fire, but throw the gem into Stacy. Any other questions you have, please.
Okay, let's take a look here. So when it's coming, we're talking salary, we're talking cost, we're talking about technician salary already being significantly lower than what compensation is not ideal, right? Putting it nicely. When we're looking at the financial investment towards this degree, are the hopes of that these are scholarships, sponsorships, that maybe they are blessed with a wonderful employer that's going to help support them? Because
yes,
how is it going to be feasible to bridge that gap?
We've tested this with a wide audience. This is designed to be funded by organization employers, or in the case of shelters, organizations that would provide, and there's already discussions underway, providing sustainable scholarship support. So it's not assumed that an underpaid credentialed vet tech on top of her day job takes this on financially. No, I think that's the key. It's either that valuable or this pilot isn't relevant, and we don't think that's the case from the conversations we've had.
Mm-hmm. And then what is potentially the disadvantages that you all see with somebody pursuing this degree? Do you see any kind of watch outs for it, or things that you guys are aware of that might be a challenge once they obtain, their master's in veterinary clinical care?
I'll let others, Jim, jump in.
Well, the downside risk of anything new, doing anything new, is it's unknown, right? Exactly how this is going to work out. I think the opportunity there, though, the exciting part of that is innovators can take this and move and create their own future, create their own niche, and not only the innovators that are sitting in the audience today, but their employers who are going to be innovative and see the opportunity. And Mark talked about this a little bit, the opportunity to come in and actually lead the team, to take some of those responsibilities off the veterinarian's plate. It's going to extend the veterinarian and going to help the veterinarian see more cases, but it's going to increase the client satisfaction and improve patient outcomes, but going to have that care coordination function that veterinarians aren't trained to do. To lead that team and to be sure everybody's working at the top of their degree, top of their training. And again, Mark alluded to that fact. Who better than somebody that's been through the vet tech program, been a veterinary technician, been working in the trenches, but then to step in and have that added science, perhaps a little deeper understanding of the science, to work side by side with the veterinarian, but to also have that advanced case management, advanced care coordination, and the leadership and management skills.
And I would suggest, Bree, there are a lot of questions I've seen, and people that are understandably skeptical, and that's fine. Something new invites skepticism. Mm-hmm. If you don't know a PA, talk to a PA. Study how the PAs are developed. You think the medical profession welcomed that at first? They weren't sure. It was done with Baylor. It was done with Duke and the Army, and it was a shortened version of the med school, right? And no one was quite sure what this meant. It's a rare practice now that doesn't have a PA in a leadership role. And then nurse practitioners with a slightly different care model and training model did the same thing. So study what both those did. And that's frankly what, Stacy and the LMU team has done. And they're going to learn a lot. But the idea is you take some of that learning, and everybody thought at the same time, we can't afford that professional. What are they going to do? They're going to take my job. And the answer is, you know what? The shortage is so acute. They just stepped in and helped provide care when it couldn't be provided otherwise. So I think those models are very much in Lincoln Memorial's mind, at least, as it develops this pilot.
And as this comes to fruition, we heard a presentation yesterday at a different conference where we were reminded that the very first class that graduated from Purdue's College of Veterinary Medicine School of Veterinary Technology had a manual in their hand that said how to use your veterinary technician that they were going to take out and give to their new employer. So it's some of this you make it up as you go. So the downside risk is there, but again, you look at that, and if you're a risk taker and you're excited about it and excited about the opportunity, making a difference in creating something new, there's two sides to that sword.
Yeah, thank you. And so, geez, I've just lost that question that I just had in my head. Here we go. So when it comes down to the degree and the considerations, and knowing again this is still in that pilot phase with that aspirations of sort of like that physician's assistant and whatnot titling, and how this role will potentially, if they are a credentialed technician with this degree, they can kind of help bridge or lessen the load of veterinarians. Where's the conversations at when it comes to prescribing and diagnosing, not having to do big things, but like if we see an ear infection and we diagnose an ear infection, what, I know it's practice X and all that, but where's that conversation going? Is it still at the table, or is it paused?
Bree, I think that's 5 to 10 years out. I think you're going to need to have a large enough cohort that finally people look and say it's not a threat to either the patient, which we know it wouldn't be, but you have to point that out, or frankly, what the bigger issue has been to the economics of the veterinarian, who think, oh my God, you're going to take my business away. The answer is you're doing something that you can't find. I mean, let's be honest. If you're 2, 3, 4, 5 veterinarians short and you're 2, 3, 4, 5 vet techs short in your practice, do you think if you watch this show tonight, you'd ask those questions? Your answer is, how soon can I find somebody that can help me? I mean, they literally just can help me see people not in 3 months or 2 months, but tomorrow, the next day, and that's the world we're in right now. And there's all these issues to sort out, and that's to Stacy's credit, and I'll let Stacy comment now, to taking the challenge of a pilot on, because there'll be arrows shot in and questions raised, that's fine. But you got to start somewhere, as Jim said early on. You got to start somewhere and see, could this help alleviate the stress of the shortage and give the team more expertise, short of trying to crank out more veterinarians, which is hard to do quickly. Stacy, any thoughts you want?
Well, and Lincoln Memorial is very used to having novel ideas for health professional degrees. So 5 years ago, they started a Doctor of Medical Science, which is basically a doctorate for a PA, which comes with no credentials. So they earn a doctorate, and it doesn't change as far as credentials and licensure. But that degree is kind of the same as this one. Like, no one knows exactly what to do with it, but other schools have copied that degree now. And there's, I don't know, probably a few hundred Doctor of Medical Sciences out there practicing and adding value to practices that use them. And so it would be the same model where, we're going to create a graduate that has the skill set, and then it's, up to the industry to decide how that person is used.
And perfect timing on that. So as we are looking very specifically, now is the time to even add your final questions. As I promised, we are going to be taking your questions. We've already set up a Zoom. We're going to go through this right afterwards. And then every single person who is in this chat tonight, you will be receiving an email from me with this edited video. It is that important. So if you don't get the video, please send me an email at Catherine@thebridgeclub.com. But I promise you, our intention is to go through all of these questions. Oh, I love all the applause and thank yous. That makes me so happy. But it is really important to us that we do that. And one of the things that we love about the Bridge Club is we are about building bridges and understanding and giving a voice to this profession. So yes, we have a pilot. Let's try it. Let's challenge it. Let's put it out there. Let's see if we can do this to make the profession even better. I can't thank Animal Policy Group and Royal Canin enough for bringing this conversation forward. Thank you so much to Bree for managing all these conversations, and for Mark for blowing out all the information, and for Dr. Jim being here, and Dr. Stacy for taking on this major challenge. But as you all know, at the Bridge Club, we start and end everything with a toast. So with that, everyone raise your glass. Bree, it is all on you before I send us all back to the tables. And thanks, guys. This has been amazing. That's all I can say really quick.
No pressure. Well, thank you everybody for attending today's engaging conversation. I know it's an impassioned topic, and also thank you to our guests tonight. It's clear there's an abundance of energy and passion around our profession and its continued development and its continued growth, especially around the veterinary technician profession. Nelson Mandela once said, "Education is the most powerful weapon when you can use it to change the world." So I'll leave you with this. May your quest for knowledge and passion for our profession never run dry, so we can continue to make the world of cats and dogs and all other species better. Cheers.
Cheers to that, everybody. And off to the tables you go.